Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
I honestly feel I'm in this powerful women's circle, and I feel so connected to every one of you, and I could feel through non-verbal communication and even the chat here. I wish it was available for everyone to see how everyone was connecting with each other and how united we feel in this. Um, I definitely want to ask you one question. I'll try to get into. Um, Today we've been talking about women empowerment. As women, we've had an individual history of the womankind, and then we have had a shared human history. We've had the history of the earth and many such histories. Is women empowerment different from men's empowerment or other kinds of empowerment? Just want to hear your thoughts about it. Do you think there is a difference? Because we do have similarities and differences. So anyone can go first, and then up to you.
Well, I'd like to think that it wouldn't be different, and that's because I feel that we should all be able to share with vulnerability and power. However, I think that women traditionally have been considered to have like a softer side, and so and we all deal with similar oppression under a patriarchal society. And so when women come together, there's something really special in that, because we can relate to each other and our struggles, and we can empower each other and boost each other up. And without having to have, men there to try to negate that there is a patriarchy, that it even exists. Having said that, I think that men also have been disadvantaged by growing up in a patriarchal system, because they have been taught that they have to be strong and brave and all these things, and that they can't have vulnerability. So I'd love to see a future where those traditional female values of being able to speak openly and wholeheartedly, that men are able to take those on, and that in the future we could have greater numbers of circles that were inclusive of men as well. I think women's circles work very well because women feel safe in women's circles. And when there's men present, it can bring up issues as well with regards to previous sexual assault or abuse. So I think that's something to be considered as well. But in a perfect world, absolutely, we're all human beings. We all have hearts. We all have emotions. It would be wonderful to be able to have everyone be able to share with vulnerability, but without the barriers of the filters that we see each other through, especially to do with gender.
Can I add to that too? I think certainly, in Melbourne, obviously with COVID-19, etc., a lot of HR studies were showing that, women got really affected in regards to lost jobs. Obviously we're probably doing the bulk of the homeschooling, etc. But it was exactly what Margie was saying. It was nice to see, though, there were some, certainly in my circle, where there was a lot more sharing of that, remote learning. And yes, the stats were still showing that women were obviously impacted greatly, as were men, but definitely more majority women. But it was nice to see that there was certainly some sharing of those tasks, roles, etc. We're all in lockdown, we're all experiencing those, external factors. So that certainly, I think, as Margie said, is giving me hope in regards to, yes, traditional patriarchy, etc. But I think there is definitely steps moving forward in the right direction.
I'd just like to add that it's great that there's this seems to be this feminine rising at the moment, but I'd love to now believe in a people empowerment, so that it's neither masculine nor feminine, but those wonderful qualities that come from both sides. On one side of it, there's that go, power, you know, achieve, strive. There's that other wonderful energy of receive, of just be, of grace, of attracting, you know, and I think what we all need to strive for is to be able to find a balance of both of those things, because that balance is what will, at the end of the day, make us more graceful and more powerful at the same time, you know. So if we're talking about empowerment, I think that's the way of the future. And I think I see that men are perhaps embracing more of their feminine, you know, energy, and women are raising their feminine energy, and perhaps in some instances having to pull back some of that masculine energy that's been around for, you know, so dominant for so long. And, you know, of course that's a generalization, but, you know, that perhaps that is something that's been going on in recent times. So I just love to see a world where we're all equally empowered.
I think everyone's touched on on that point, but I would like to just add that I have noted that men in particular have said, don't forget about us too. It is that balance is coming into play, and they're acknowledging that, again, a generalization, but or some are feeling lost and they want that permission to understand what is required and to let their layering go as well. So I think we have collectively created a shift, and it is really quite exciting. And I think I'm a mum to 2 boys, and so I do feel really passionate. Yes, I do empower women, but we need to be extremely mindful of how we're raising the next generation to empower them, no matter the gender, just to be great humans.
Thank you, everyone. You know, I find myself nodding my head and resonating with everything you'll say. And you know, I am reminded of you know, as I was going through my own issues, and you know, I was wondering that in becoming more masculine, because some of those things were necessary, would I become less feminine? And I think what I'm hearing from everyone, and what I also heard from my mentor that helped me, was that, you know, the goal is to be 100% masculine and 100% feminine. You know, you're not taking from anything, but to, you know, have that complete empowerment. And you know, I'm hearing you all, like, you know, when you all say that, you know, we need empowerment of both, and it feels that once we are empowering the one group, not giving them power, but empowering them, we are empowering everyone else. Like, to empower a woman is to empower everyone she touches, I think. So thank you so much for that. And Rosetta, you know, touched about the pandemic, COVID. And I think that is a moment where we collectively have felt a helplessness, a lack of power, like almost like it was not in our control. And then from that point, there have been many, like you all, even in your personal stories before COVID, I could see that there was this moment where it felt everything was crashing, and then you all found this thing to empower yourselves. And on the edge of this pandemic, a lot of people are in different stages. What is it that you know for sure? What is a lesson you have learned that you would like to impart to everyone who's listening? So what is that lesson you would like to share to empower them?
I'll go. But for me, it was which I talked about in obviously my talk, allowing myself to go through those emotions. Like, you know, I accepted there was a lot of external stuff I couldn't control, you know, obviously lockdowns and etc. But it was also, you know, and there was a sense of grief, and there was certainly in Melbourne, there was a sense of almost feels like almost a bit of an imprisonment, I suppose. But exactly what you touched upon, it was that, well, what can I do? I've got 2 boys as well who are school age, as I said. It was like, what can we do collectively together to really, you know, sort of continue through it and allow myself to go through those emotions of anger and grief, but also know what I could do. So, you know, I switched off from social media. I switched off from those daily hour or two, updates. And I watched, I actually purposely picked this background today to Little Penguins because they had the live stream of Phillip Island penguins that my family used to watch, and that gave us great joy of just watching them, do their thing in the evening. So my lesson really is pick your battles. It's kind of allowing yourself to go through those emotions and really then reset and move forward. And really, as I said, you have power in regards to what you can basically, sort of focus on. So that was my probably biggest lessons through the pandemic.
Very, very important lesson. Thank you, Rosetta.
I learned something really important. So what I didn't talk about in my talk was that I made it sound like I made the New Year's resolution to write the book and then I wrote the book. That's not what happened. I made the New Year's resolution to write the book and I went, oh, that's a bit hard. And I shelved it like most people do with New Year's resolutions. And then coronavirus hit. And I did the doona dive. And the doona dive, if you don't know, is where you basically stay in bed, maybe with a block or two of chocolate, and you just mope around and you don't do anything. And I did that for about 3 days. And on the third day, I was getting bored of it. And I thought, you know what? I'm a celebrant, so I perform a lot of weddings and things, and they were all cancelled or rescheduled. And so I didn't have work to do. And my life is very busy. I've got networking meetings and things to go to and weddings to perform, and everything stopped. And I was just in my bed going, what am I doing? And I was like, I have to make use of this time. I want to come out of this having achieved something. And that's when the idea came back. And it was like, okay, now's the time to write the book. And so I set about doing that. The interesting thing, though, is that in all my busyness, I was missing out on taking those times to do the things, the projects, the bigger dreams, to pursue those that at the time I gave myself during coronavirus, that I was able to do that. Now, the thing is that the time hasn't changed. Everything's still the same. It's just whether I want to refill my life with all that busyness. And if I do, I have to remember that it's at the expense of the book that I might write, or the one-woman show I might produce, or, there's lots of things I'd like to do. And what's in your life that you would love to do, something you'd love to pursue, a hobby you'd like to take up? Would you like to go and have singing lessons with Danielle? Is there something you'd really desperately love to do, but you've been putting it aside because you've been going through the busyness of life? And the thing is, if one thing I've learned through coronavirus is that you are in control of your life. You can say, you know what, I can dedicate time to this. I can choose not to spend time watching television or the news or on social media or hanging out with friends or whatever it is. And I can focus on what I want to achieve and make my dreams come true.
Thank you, Maggie, for for reminding us busyness versus dreams. Thank you. Margie, sorry. Yes.
I think for me it was really about coming home to myself. I think and realizing that we have choice in life. I think prior to COVID, it was very much life was just the way it was, the way we'd always known it, go, go, go. And for me personally, there was a lot of, wanting to be a part of everything and achieve and just putting myself out there to the point of exhaustion sometimes. And of course, this was all subconscious stuff. Like, I didn't realize that this was the way I was until COVID hit. And I came home to myself, and I started just to listen to myself more and realize, oh, wow, there's so much benefit in just being, in just slowing down and stopping everything. I even made moments where I stopped my business, because I just went, like Margie was saying, I thought I'm going to be creative for a while, and wow, with the time and the space and that creativity is so important. I was writing as well, and I was writing a show and I was writing my book as well, and I don't think I would have stopped and given myself permission to do those things. And then what comes out of that is so much more, creativity, like to put into my business or to put into my world, so it's just, I think it was a blessing in some ways, just to be able to reassess and to be able to take stock of life, really, as hard as it was at times, being locked down, and that shutdown was very difficult. But there's something to learn out of everything, I think.
Thank you, Danielle. Sometimes staying at home, sometimes we staying at home in COVID, in the pandemic, but we forget to come home to ourselves and to expand from there. So thank you so much for that message, Jessica.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that I know for sure is that we're guaranteed in life is change. And COVID-19 certainly brought that to the forefront. And we've heard, we're not in the same boat, it might be the same storm, but we're all rowing different boats. So everyone has a very different experience with it. I'm lucky to be in Queensland, so I can't even imagine the impact that it's had on our sisterly neighbours down south. But for me, what I saw for myself and with clients, because they are Australia-wide, is that it gave us permission that we'd been craving to hop off that hamster wheel, doesn't it? So I too wrote a book this year and started last year, so obviously the creativity started flowing. We gave our self-permission to jump off that treadmill and do what our heart desired. And I guess, like I said in my talk before, like I'd known I wanted to do all this stuff before some big things happened, but didn't give myself permission to do it. So I think what we need to continue to do to take the positives, I guess, out of COVID is to go, all right, let's keep being curious, to feel that creativity, and to have those conversations as well, that perhaps we were lacking. So find that positive in it where we can.
Thank you, Jessica. It feels that in this group, the side effect of the COVID was writing the book. I think that was the...
I just made a comment to say I was also writing a chapter. So we're all writing.
Bravo.
I can't wait to read everyone's books. So exciting.
So before we come to the final message of Grandma and this, I would like to just go around, and if you all want to share your Instagram or social media handle, your website, so that people who are listening can connect with you. Can we just go around and share that? And then we'll come to the final message by your Grandma and Dr. Yugandhar.
I'll start
because I know I would like to connect with all of you. And I know some of the others too.
No, that's right. You can find me on Rosita Campbell on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Pretty unique name, so I'm easy to find.
I'll go next. So to connect with me personally, it's I'm Metamorphosis Margie or Margie McCumsty. That's Margie McCumsty for me personally. For my speaker Facebook page, on Facebook, it's Metamorphosis Margie. I'm also on LinkedIn as well under my name. Then I have my ceremonies business, which is metamorphosis.com.au. And you can find me as Metamorphosis Ceremonies, and on LinkedIn LinkedIn as that as well. I also have a podcast called The Wedding Wombat. You'd be welcome to listen in on Spotify or Apple, iTunes, whatever you listen to. My business, Love Legacy, where I write custom written eulogies, is www.lovelegacy.com.au, and I'm on Facebook as Love Legacy Eulogies. And I have my speaker website, which is www.margiemccunsty.com.au, or on Facebook as Be Transformed with Margie. So I look forward to connecting with you on some platform.
Thanks. You can always find me, Danielle Socchio, Awaken Your Voice. So my Instagram and Facebook are Awaken Your Voice. On LinkedIn, I'm Danielle Socchio. My website is awakenyourvoice.net.au. And I'd like to say I'm running some free classes in the month of November. So if anyone wants to reach out, you're welcome to jump in and running my Awaken Your Voice mini course in December. So if anyone wants to explore further, feel free to just reach out to me. But do connect with me on social. I'd love to stay very connected with this community. And thank you for listening today.
Thank you. I would love to connect with you all. You can find me at Jessica-Ritchie, RITCHIE.com, and also on Instagram and Facebook as the Jessica Ritchie, and on LinkedIn as Jessica Ritchie. I'd love for you to reach out and have a chat.
Thank you so much. This session is drawing to a close, but this is not a closure. This is a stepping stone for Dr. Yugandhar and Grandma Parisha's vision. And what they would like to do is to connect to voices in every state, in every country, in every county, voices that are very loud, voices that are not heard at all, voices that are of the majority, of the minority, and really connect and bring them together, unite them, and raise this world consciousness. So if you feel that in your heart, and if you feel the call, whatever you have experienced here, and you would have seen us on the website and everywhere, if you feel an inner call, then we really invite you to become a part of the World United Council. We are going to go even more grassroots. When we started, it was like, the leading voices, but we want to hear voices from everywhere. And we want everyone to be represented because it is for all of us. And we all are in this together. So please reach out to Marianne and give your names. And we would love to continue and allow this thing to become a movement for raising consciousness. So thank you so much. With these words, I bow down to each of you deeply for sharing your lives, your message, your learning so beautifully, so authentically. There were moments where I absolutely felt the magic and felt so connected. It feels so, I didn't feel like I was in California in a different time zone with a different heritage, maybe a different culture, religion, connecting with you all. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And we thank you, Nancy. We thank you, Nancy, for leading us so beautifully, for holding the space for us so generously, and for loving us so powerfully. Danielle?
Took the words right out of my mouth, Margie. So thank you, Nancy, for holding such a beautiful space for us today. Thank you.
And I'm not going to repeat, but thank you. Agree.
And really, I'm just a representative for the entire team that has worked hard. But thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, ladies, for sharing your story too. It's been awesome to connect with you.
Thank you. So before we get started with session 2, I would like to play this beautiful, beautiful sound, The Spirit of Australia by Mary Palicano. So you're most welcome to stay here and really feel her, and feel the vibration of the space. And then we will move on to session 2. And I heartily invite you to join the closing ceremony. That's going to be on track 1. I sent you, and it's going to be at 3:30 p.m. Australian time. So really, I feel like we've all had our experiences in our session, but it's all like the coming together and closing and starting something bigger. So most welcome there. Thank you.